the Perseverance rover headed to Mars, ready to ride a column of fire and smoke on its way to the Red Planet.
And liftoff. As the countdown to Mars continues, the perseverance of humanity launching the next generation of robotic explorers to the Red Planet.
And Atlas TU has gone to closed loop control, standing by for SRB burnout shortly. And we have successful separation of Mars 2020 with the Perseverance rover.
We now have an acquisition of signals, and the years of blood, sweat, and tears from every person who worked on this mission is now realized as Perseverance makes its way to Mars.
Hello, everybody. This is Scott Roberts here, and this is the OpenGOTO Community Live, and it's a great day today. Gosh, we've had some really exciting moments with the launch of the Mars 2020 rover. We hit 500 members today, which is really cool. It's the full of round numbers. It's the 30th. It's our 40th show. 500th member. What else? We got 100-degree eyepieces to give away.
Right.
It's all going to be awesome. And so we have our special guest today, Gary Palmer from the UK, Heath Creekmore from customer service. And so we're all happy to be with you today. And we got a challenging question for you for the prize, but we're going to let the show run on a little bit, and then Jerry will ask the question. We'll see who can come up with the answer the fastest. So we wanted to cover a number of things. Let's talk a little bit about the Mars event itself. I mean, we had an exciting launch today that launched at this morning just before 8 o'clock. And apparently it's going to land it's sometime like in the middle of February. But Mars is also coming closer to opposition right now. Jerry, when exactly is the opposition time now?
I think it was October 13th, right? October 13th.
Okay.
That happens to be my daughter's birthday also.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was. I don't know if you're superstitious, but is it a Friday the 13th or?
I don't know. I didn't look at the calendar. Let me.
We don't want to see. I'm hoping that NASA's smart enough not to do it on Friday the 13th.
Let me go there. I'm going to October 13th. No, it's Tuesday.
That's Tuesday. Okay, that's no problem.
Tuesday. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we did have Apollo 13, and I think that might have had something to do with Friday the 13th. I'm not sure, but anyhow, let's all hope. Let's keep our fingers crossed that it's all good. But I know the team, the Mars 2020 team was really excited, as the rest of the world. I saw all kinds of excitement and stuff on Facebook about it. People are congratulating me somehow. I don't know why. Anyway,
good job, Scott. You did a great job.
Yeah, I pressed the button for the launch, so. No, how exciting would that be if you could do that? They should let somebody This should have like a,
Well,
you
there was
know,
a student,
just like a
in
big
Virginia.
contest, a worldwide contest.
A
NASA
student in
flies
Virginia.
to the launch site, and you get to press the button and launch it. You know, how big of a deal would that be to someone? You know, that would be
The
something.
The student who named the rover Perseverance was from Virginia. They should have been there to press the button.
So would they have like scientists or guys that would actually hold the guy's hand and say, "Okay, no, not yet, not yet, not yet," you know, and then let it go. I don't even know if there is a button. Probably not.
It's probably more sophisticated than that. They turn it over to the computers and let the AI will push the button.
Tim Meyer
Yeah.
says Scott is NASA's best kept secret, and it's best kept a secret too. Because I don't know why. I don't know what the connection is. I am a NASA solar system ambassador though, so volunteer. But anyways, you know, Mars has got a lot of us excited. You were telling me that this is going to be the largest apparition of Mars for quite some time. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. So I looked up the size. I think it's 22.4 arc seconds at opposition.
Mm-hmm.
And last time, which in 2018, which was in July, was 24 arc seconds. But the next few oppositions, at least through 2027, probably it's a decreasing number, and it gets smaller and smaller as time goes on. So it's probably in a cycle where it's going to go down to a minimum and then come back up to a maximum. So it might be 15 years, 20 years before it gets as big as what it is this year.
Yeah. So, Gary, are you planning on getting some images of Mars during this?
Yeah, it would be really good to get some images. It's going to be weather dependent.
Oh yeah.
Tonight.
Yeah, whether you feel like staying up or not.
Yeah. I always feel like staying up.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, tonight was all set up and had a quick look at Jupiter, and high clouds already coming in. It's meant to clear a bit later, but at the moment it's been a really nice day though, apart from this evening. Yeah, so did manage to get some good solar for a change.
Right.
That's all good.
Yeah.
So you know, Heath is new in customer service, and he's been going through a lot of different training aspects and stuff. And I know that you've been playing with a PMC-8 system over there. How's it going, Heath?
Oh, that's good. I'm learning.
Are you learning? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the system that you're working with right now? Is it the Exos 2 or?
I'm working with the iOXOS 100 right now.
100. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And
With
which
PMC.
do you have, like an iPad, or what are you using right now to?
I'm using my Windows laptop.
Laptop.
Yep.
Okay. All right. You're connecting wirelessly or wired right now?
Wirelessly right now.
Okay. All right. Okay. Running into any glitches, any problems, or?
No, once I put my longitude and latitude in, I was great.
That's right. That's right. Gary, you've got an Exos 2 there. You showed me a picture earlier. Can you share that with your?
Yeah, I need to download it onto the computer because it was off of my phone earlier. So if you give me a couple of seconds,
Sure.
I will just go back as.
Your face just lit up when your screen came on. It looks good.
Yeah, it's a backlit telly, so as soon as it shows something bright.
I love that image of Andromeda behind you. When did you take that shot?
I think that was a couple of years back now.
Oh wow.
Think
Think Andromeda's changed much since then, or does it kind of look the same?
Probably just the same as usual. Here we go.
Right. That's right.
Just switch on the screen share, and
So we've got who's on with us right now. Get rid of all these updates that are on my screen so I can see what's going on. And
so this was
here you go.
just a quick setup there.
Yeah.
It was just literally to collimate and check the telescope, but the mount handled it okay. We had 3 counterweights
So that is
on there, and it sat there. I sat there. There we go. Sat there tracking the moon fine for a good half an hour.
That's
with that telescope.
10-inch RC or what?
10-inch classic category.
Classic. Oh wow, very cool.
Yeah. So
How much weight? How much weight is that?
I haven't actually got the specs on it. It literally turned up today. So
okay.
I might have a quick look at the crate in a minute and see what that says.
Okay.
But it was fairly heavy. Yeah, it took three counterweights on there. So yeah, I'm probably going to go somewhere around 18 kilos, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's 40,
maybe
that's 40
20
pounds.
kilos.
That's about 40 pounds, isn't it? 39
Yeah.
pounds.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Scott, did you see the video that Scott and Alex did with the Exos 2, putting 80 pounds on it?
I was actually really trying to break it. I wanted to see if I could make the tripod like bust or because we had quite a bit of weight on it. Who's with us today? We've got our usual group here. Actually, we have a larger viewing audience today. I can see that. So there must be a lot of people wanting to win a $550 eyepiece. We'll just say a
pretty good
$500
incentive,
eyepiece. But, we've got James, the astrophotographer, Tim Myers, Wolfgang is with us, Dave Ing is with us. We're going to talk a little bit about the virtual star party towards the end of the show. David Samard says congratulations on 500. Thank you. Bergman Scooter is with us. Dusty Haskins, of course. Nico Rochia. Thank you, Nico. Cesar Barolo, amazing day. Good afternoon to everybody. Angelo Puri's with us. We've got Chuck Lewis, great launch. He's a NASA retiree. Yeah, that's very cool. It's cool that NASA shares all that stuff with us, so that's awesome. Astro Beard says, made it, but got to leave like in 10 minutes. All right, Astro Beard. Let's see. Chuck Lewis is with us. Bob Trepaccioni. Okay. So I always stumble on that one. Sorry, dude. Congratulations on 500. Thank you. Tyler Bowman's with us. Diego Gomez is with us. He says, looking for Mark Watney. I suppose, hopefully he joins us here. Eduardo Simone, good afternoon. And who else? Terry Holland's with us. Nice to see you. And that's who's chiming in. A gentleman named Jazzwiz says hello. Michael Whitaker's with us. He says, does anybody know a good stacking software for Mac? That might be a good question for you, Gary. I'm using PixInsight trial at the moment, but can't afford the full license. What do you think?
To be really, really honest, I normally end up either installing Boot Camp or running something like Parallels or one of the other applications to put Windows on there. It's quite an involved process. There were some programs for Planetary, but they've always been quite unstable.
I see.
But really, at the end of the day, save the money. The money you spend on a couple of eyepieces or a few bits here and there, and you've got PixInsight, and I've never been charged for an update. I've had it for probably 4 or 5 years now since it came out, and they've never billed me for an update, which I think is really good. I keep expecting a new update to come out and them to say, it's going to be another $100 or something like that. But they haven't. It's been very good so far.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you know about what it runs to purchase it?
I didn't hear you then, Scott.
Pix
I
Insight.
didn't. I didn't hear what you said then,
Oh,
Scott.
I'm sorry. I said, do you know about what it costs for Pix Insight?
I think it's in euros. It's somewhere around 260 euros
Oh, okay.
for the
Yeah.
program.
Well, you know what? I mean,
So-
programs, people that work on those kind of programs and make them stable and constantly look after them, they're worth it. They are.
That's right. That's a high value thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like us when we build our equipment. There's a lot of do-it-yourselfers that do things, but at the end, you're getting what you pay for.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
I don't know what it is. I mean, a lot of us, I'm guilty of it too, but we like to get free software because we just like free, okay? But, if you ever watch a programmer work, they are beating their brains out to make the system work, and it's something that's always on their mind the whole time. So if you had to hire somebody to write a program for you, it's quite expensive, So
I mean, people moan about Photoshop these days, where you have to pay for it monthly.
Yeah.
But when we used to have to buy it, a new version came out, it was £500 or £600, for that new version. So £8 a month or whatever it is now, you're getting all the updates all the time. Everything's working.
That's a big one. Everything's working.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, when you buy stuff like this, you got to consider what your time is worth also, and aggravation.
Yeah.
You come to realize that that's worth a lot of money.
Yeah. I know there's great free programs that are out there too, and there are these benevolent programmers out there that are just trying to share their expertise and all the rest of it out there. But to feed the kitty, they should get paid somehow.
Your other option is just to buy a cheap second-hand laptop for sort of, I don't know, 60, 70 pounds.
Yeah.
And then you can run Deep Sky Stacker, which is free. So that's all it's cost you then.
Right. Nico says 4 months of work without food or anything else. Yeah, I imagine. Well, gentlemen, why don't we move on? And I would like to see, I know that you've been working on some new images, Gary. So that one of the moon, maybe you want to share that a little bit later on at the end of the program.
Yep.
But, we start talking about the virtual star party. But let's go on to talk to you, Heath. You've been working with a gentleman with one of the 208 Newtonians. A focuser issue. What's happening?
Yeah, so when he's putting his DSLR on his focuser, when he's got it on the extension tube there, the focuser tube, I mean, it's got some slop in it, and we're trying to figure out what's going on with it. And I'm thinking it might be.
You got one of the focusers there on your desk, right?
He may be missing. I don't know if you can see it in here, but there's these little sleeves on the inside that help it guide it in its place and keep it firm. I'm thinking maybe he's missing one of those, and it's just not working out for him. So we're just waiting for an answer back, but I'm hoping that that's it, so we can help the gentleman.
Now, what is he going to? He's going to send you some pictures, or what's going to happen?
Oh yeah. So I've got some pictures of it already.
Yeah.
Not of the sleeve in particular, but of his setup.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting on a video, really, of his setup, him showing me the slump that he's seeing.
Okay.
So we'll see.
We'll have to, in one of the future programs, maybe next time you're on, we'll see what the result of that is. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Jerry, you wanted to talk a little bit about pulse guiding. How does it work?
Right. So the ASCOM platform, and it's been around for a long time, pulse guiding. Pulse guiding is a function of the ASCOM driver. It's also in the Indy driver. It's basically a general purpose process where instead of using the standard legacy ST4 contact closure inputs into the mount, which is a hardware interface coming from the camera system, it's basically, instead of doing it that way and then the mount system interpreting those contact closures into the firmware and then driving the mount accordingly, speeding up and slowing down or moving the the RA axis or moving the deck axis to keep the star centered. It's actually bypasses that whole hardware channel and sends commands from like PhD2 guiding into the mount itself, into the driver, I should say, into the ASCOM driver, and the ASCOM driver then sends the commands to the mount to do the same exact thing. So there's an API. The way I've implemented it in the PMC-Eight, and I think probably most people implement it this way, is that there's a move command or a move method in the ASCOM driver that you can use to move the mount a slight amount at a certain rate. So basically, you move it. So you're at a standard tracking rate all the time, and then you want to speed it up a tiny bit and then slow it down a tiny bit. So what you do is you set the rate or you move it faster or slower for that tiny amount of time. Okay, for milliseconds. And the PMC-Eight operates at can recognize pulses in the pulse guide commands less than 20 milliseconds commands, and you can set the guiding rate. There's pulse guiding will basically do that. It's just like on a hardware channel when you push the button to go east, it goes faster east, and that's exactly what it's doing in the ASCOM command. So you go a little faster east, or go slower go faster west, or go slower east. Same thing. So that's how it works in an overview. But there's a couple other things that are interesting with the method. PhD guiding takes advantage of the fact that when you're connected to the mount, you know where the mount is pointing in the sky, you know what the declination is. So to be a little smoother and to scale the motion a little better, it takes advantage of that information, because as you move the scope towards the North Celestial Pole, the amount of movement you get with the pulse is smaller and smaller in physical motion and linear, and I should say it's kind of like a linear translation of an angular motion. So for example, let's say you've got a star at declination 0, and it's moving a little bit, like a half to 1 arc second, let's say or 2 arc seconds, let's say it's moving around at 2 arc seconds. All right. So you could pulse the RA a certain amount, and it'll correct for that little 2 arc second movement. Okay. Now, as you move up in the sky towards declination of 90, you have to pulse the RA axis longer, because that motion in RA is a shorter. It's the same angular distance, but we're not talking about angular. We're talking about a little motion that's still more linear at that point. So in that regard, you have to move the RA axis a little further to correct for that. That type of thing.
Pulse guiding this, is it more accurate? Is it?
I think people have compared the two, the ST4, and they typically say it in terms of guiding performance, overall performance is about the same. But in terms of calibration and doing the things where you're at in the sky, it's a little better, and it works faster to do the calibration. I think that's really where the performance is, where it takes advantage of the location in the sky. It's really calculating where you're at and what the calibration should be for the corrections. So they are, I guess you can consider, if you do a better measurement wherever you're at in the sky, then is probably a little more accurate. And but in terms of overall performance, I don't know that it's any better. I've heard people compare them to say they're basically the same, but I don't know. I haven't done that comparison myself. Do you have any insight into that, Gary?
I think you're muted, Gary.
Yeah. So I was just sorting out some images. What was your question there, Jerry?
So the question is, the question was about performance difference between pulse guiding and using the standard ST4 port. Have you seen any real difference between the two, or have you used the ST4 port?
I generally use the ST4 port.
Okay.
But I know things have changed, but I think that's a little bit of habit. Lots of the cameras have it on, it's just easy.
Right.
And using the Exos 2 last week on guiding, when I was imaging the Comet, I just ran it on ST4. It was straight in ST4, and it was working fine. I had no real sort of issues there. So I don't know. I think at the end of the day, I can see problems with different cameras, maybe slowing things down. The frame rate of the camera or the size of the image maybe coming into the guiding software. I could see that slowing things down.
Right. Mm-hmm. So the command.
Another guy here, Jason Burns, had a question. He says, "Does the PMC-Eight system cope well with MetaGuide?" I'm not familiar with that. He says
MetaGuide was an early system. I used that back in 2010.
Oh wow! Okay.
I remember that guiding system before I discovered PhD.
He says AKA fast exposures and short corrections.
Yeah, it should work. I mean, the PMC-Eight is a pretty high performance. It'll accept corrections pretty quickly on both the pulse guiding and the ST4 port.
Well, having all our processors on there, everything is all dedicated. So the from the time that it says move, it moves.
Oh yeah. And the other thing is the high baud rate that we communicate. That's the thing with the pulse guiding, is we communicate at 115K baud over the channel instead of at 9600 baud, which is basically the standard for most other mounts. It's 9600 baud.
Right.
So that allows you to communicate very quickly and get. I did that because we needed high response time on the wireless channel when we're pushing buttons. As soon as you touch the pad, you want to hear them out.
Hardwired in.
Exactly. That was the whole design goal for that. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Eduardo Simone says, "So your USB 3.0 cameras run better on pulse guiding ? Because of data transfer speeds?"
Well, that's a different set of data. It's as long as your camera rate, your exposure time and your rate of updates for your cameras. Let's say you're doing 1 second exposures, and you're getting that data over to the PhD2 in time to do the processing every second. That I don't know if there's a big difference between USB 2 and USB 3 in that regard, because people have been using PhD2 for a long time with USB 2 cameras.
Right.
So you can typically keep up with 1 second exposures and getting all that data to transfer. The data transfer for the USB port for the pulse guiding function is a separate communication, separate message, and that's a very small message. I mean, it's like 10 to 15 bytes of data. It's a very small amount of data that you're sending to send that command. So,
right. This might be a question for you, Gary, since you test and look at so much different equipment. Jim Norwood, he says, "I just learned of the ZWO A-Star or ASI Air.
ASI Air.
I guess I need glasses. Okay, ASI Air Pro controller yesterday. It sounded like a decent next step in my journey. What is your opinion of that device? Do you happen to know if it works well with the PMC-Eight system? ?
Not tried it on the PMC-Eight system yet. In the UK, there's very big shortage of the Pro unit due to the COVID. So they're coming through, but they're slow and only a few at a time coming into the UK. The earlier version I used, and it worked very, very well. So I would expect the Pro version to be pretty good. It's going to be down to really the software that you can run on it. That's going to be the key thing. And until I've got one in my hands, I can't answer that.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Jerry?
We've got several customers that asked about it on the forum and also have used it, and it works great. It's got the latest Indy server software on it, so it's got our driver on it, and that's how people connect to our PMC-8 with the Indy driver. And from what I understand, it works fine, and people like it.
Well, Dusty Haskins says, I'm installing an ASI Air Pro right now as I'm watching, so maybe by the end of the program he can tell us. Of course, I don't think he's on the Sky. Well, great. So I think that the next thing that we really wanted to talk about here was the prize question, right? So Heath, why don't you show them what they can win today? Okay, this is our.
Here we go.
Yeah.
See if we
There
can
we
get
go.
this.
Okay.
Go.
So we got a 14 millimeter 100-degree eyepiece. That was our first 100-degree or waterproof eyepiece, and a 20 millimeter 100-degree eyepiece. So your choice. Each one worth $550 if you get this answer correct, and you're the first to answer it. And so why don't we have Jerry pose the question here?
You got to keep me straight on this. So we use the
As I often do. I have to keep
right with the 20-degree 100-degree field of view 20 millimeter eyepiece.
Yeah.
Okay. With that eyepiece.
20 millimeter. That's right.
Mounted on a ED on one of our 127 ES 127 carbon fiber telescopes.
Yes.
What would be the apparent field of view for that combination? No?
True field of view.
Or what would be the true field of view? The apparent field of view is 100 degrees. That
would have been a trick question.
I knew you would have. I knew you were going to correct me. So what would be the true field of view be for that combination? The 100-degree, 20 millimeter on the 127.
Okay, so restate the question again. All right.
All right, on the 127 ED-APO telescope, you put the 20 millimeter 100-degree apparent field of view eyepiece on it. Yep. What would be the true field of view for that
chunk of the sky, the true field of view. What are you going to see in the sky with that system?
That's right. So that's the question.
Yeah, I don't have any elevator music to play in the background, so you guys will just have to hum it in your head, I guess.
We may have to repeat it here in a minute also.
Yeah, it could be. Could be. I see some answer. I see an answer already coming in. It's Stephen Lozier says 2.42 question mark. Is that right?
Nope, that's not right. That's not right.
I can't answer. I'm on the show.
Ansel Puri said 80 degrees. No. I have Jim Norwood says, I have a spreadsheet that would calculate that in a flash, but it's not with me. Sigh.
You have to do it in your head.
Simone says 2.33 degrees field view.
No.
No.
Do you think we identified the telescope enough?
ED-127. This is the Explore Scientific ED-127 at f7.5. So you got 127 millimeters of aperture times 7.5. That's going to give you the focal length.
Yeah, you're giving it away, Scott.
I am starting to give it away.
Well, you're giving it away anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Bob says no clue how to even figure that one out. Good luck, everybody. Okay. You guys will have to watch my my eyepiece, choosing and using eyepieces video. Jeff Wise says, 2.1 degrees.
Yep, that's right. 2.1. That's right. 2.1.
It was 2.1. That's right. That's right. So Jeff, congratulations. You just have to send in an email to Kent, Kent, at explorescientific.com, and we will be happy to send that out to you.
Which one does he want?
I don't know. Yeah. What's it going to be? Which one are you going to pick? What do you think, Jeff?
I would have a 50.
Yeah. He's getting lots of congratulations. He's picking he already has the 14.
Oh, okay, cool.
You're going to go with two 14s, like a bino view or something? You're going to have to put two 127s together, too.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Right, just duct tape those things together, Duct tape will work wonders. Yeah. So anyhow, congratulations. Cool. That is the right answer. And anyways.
Did you want to go over the math on that for everybody else?
Yeah. So what you would do is you would calculate the magnification, okay? And the apparent field. It's 100 degrees apparent field, and it is the apparent field divided by magnification, and that gives you the true field view. That's an easy way to do it. You can also do it with field stop diameters and stuff like that as well. But anyway.
And the magnification is the focal length of the telescope divided by the focal length of the eyepiece.
Eyepiece, that's right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that, you got what, 952 millimeters and change. So that gives you somewhere between 2.09 degrees, rounded up to 2.1. So that's the right answer. So, Dave Connolly says astronomy tools is so wrong. So Jeff, it is going to Kent. I'm going to put it in here. KentExplorerScientific.com is who you sent it off to. Yep, don't forget to register it, because if you register our product, it is guaranteed. Eyepieces, Explore Scientific eyepieces have a no-fault, transferable, forever warranty. So no fault means you get star drunk and run over your telescope and the eyepiece and crush it with a steamroller accidentally, we replace it. So I don't have any destroyed steamroller eyepieces yet, but we did in fact get 2 eyepieces that were destroyed, unfortunately, in a house fire. So, anyhow, you guys, thank you very much for participating in that. I wanted to turn to the future of amateur astronomy. We've been talking about this. I think that Gary also has thoughts on this, but
right.
So this could be a Jerry Gary conversation here. What do you guys? You wanted to talk about equipment this time.
Yeah, the changing equipment landscape is what I call it.
Equipment landscape, yeah. So
in general, compared to 20 years ago, we've had a large improvement on what's available to consumers and amateur astronomers. I like to call people astronomers. And in terms of the navigation tools, we have electronic star charts and go-to telescope mounts, make it easier and quicker to find things. We still have paper charts available in other books and magazines, but they're not really used like they were 20 years ago in the field, unless you're a diehard star hopper. If you're a star hopper, then you would use a chart. But
go ahead.
So that's one big thing, is you've got computer systems now that are very ubiquitous in the amateur astronomy field. We've got very sophisticated optical equipment now that's improved our view of the sky, and it makes it possible for us as unpaid astronomers to do professional level work, basically, with our systems.
Yes.
One of the things that manufacturers have to do when with this more sophisticated equipment is we have to up our game in providing better documentation and training materials, and in our view, and because people want to make use of this equipment and we want people to make full use of the equipment, not just do the same thing we did 20 years ago. We want to be able to expand people's minds and show them how they can actually do the work that's available for them to get into today. One of the other thing is that the amount of equipment that's available, and I've mentioned this before, is based on the huge number of manufacturers and other companies that are providing tools for astronomers to do this work. It's really increased over the last 20 years quite a bit. We've got, in the NEAF show in New York, you've got 150 vendors showing all their equipment. Right. And I don't think, 20 years ago, maybe there might have been 30 companies, maybe 25 companies providing equipment.
That would be interesting to look back. If you look back in the old Sky and Telescope magazines, the old astronomy magazines, actually there were quite a few manufacturers. Kind of what you see in our industry is you'll see kind of some of the bigger brands that are out there, and a lot of them are still around. Okay. Certainly Meade was around 20 years ago, or 30 years ago. Celestron's been around longer than that. But there's other companies that have been around for a long time. Astrophysics, for example, has been around for a very long time. Maybe Stellar View has been around for 20 years.
Right.
Have to go back and look. Our company's fairly young. As being a major brand, we're perhaps the youngest brand. We've been here a dozen years already.
Right.
There's another layer of companies that are out there, and there are companies in Europe that have been around for a long time. So that may not be on our radar in advertising in the United States. But there are small companies that are out there too that make like a few accessories, or maybe even just one accessory, that show up for just a few years, and they come and go. But it's interesting to see the innovation that comes up with that.
Right, that's the biggest thing, is all the new innovation, and people are really getting into it.
But a lot of guys find out how hard it is and how competitive it is in this landscape as well. And and it's not uncommon for someone to get started and have a really brilliant idea, and thinking that everybody will want it, and you can't just make it and put it out at a star party or something like that. You really have to work hard to market it, and you have to earn it. And this also comes in with customer service and establishing yourself, and all these things that go along with making a brand that consumers will want to adopt, because they do adopt those brands. And once they do, then it can be around for quite a long time.
Right. One of the hurdles that customers have today is because of this more sophisticated equipment. There's a burden on them to understand how to use the products. We see that with the PMC-Eight, with some of the things you can do with it. So again, it's incumbent on the manufacturers to provide the information and the training that they need, and I think that's going to get more and more going forward. We'll always have the basic fundamental equipment that we've had for 50, 60 years available, but when people start to get their skills and knowledge in that equipment, they'll want to move up, and astrophotography is a big thing today. So it's a big jump to go from visual observing with just an eyepiece and the telescope up to a camera system and all the stuff that's involved, as Gary can discuss. What do you think about this, Gary?
I think it's quite interesting. I think the manufacturers do need to look at this There's thousands and thousands of videos on YouTube now for nearly every part of astronomy. And quite a lot of manufacturers have just really let everybody get along with watching those, or some manufacturers have got involved in producing their own videos, but they're quite limited in the amount of information that they're passing across, and that's normally time and costs and all sorts of different reasons in the background. But it can be quite confusing. You can sit there and waste many an hour watching these videos and still not really get anywhere. And I also think that there's a few different types of people. Some people like reading out of a book. Some people like reading off of a screen. Some people like watching videos. But quite often they don't interact, in a sense. Quite often the people who like watching the videos don't like reading the books. And this is where
That's very true.
I don't like reading off of iPads or off of screens. I don't mind like emails, those sorts of things, but to actually read books, I find it quite annoying. So I think the manufacturers do have to step up to the plate a little bit as we're getting more and more involved with this equipment. There's also the cost side, isn't there? The equipment really over the last 10 years has got a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
True. If you look at it, the cameras were very specialized, you know, even a decade ago. Whereas now you can pick out a very good camera for under £1,000, you know.
They used to be thousands.
Yep, that's right. Even if you were just using a standard DSLR, you can get a really good DSLR for maybe £500 that would do you, you know, as a starter camera to get you off the ground and up and running. So where it goes in the future, I don't know, but I think the computer side of it, like what the people were saying earlier about the ASI Air, this is the way things will go, where it will be computer based. So it's understanding how all of this stuff all connects in and has its different issues. And I do wonder with a lot of the wireless stuff how long it is before we have so many wireless devices that will start tripping over each other.
Right. Well,
we already experienced
we already
it
got
now,
that.
you know,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
right.
You know, that's something I've thought about for quite a long time, where you're going to start getting a lot more interference with these different objects. And it's whether the regulations keep on top of that. In the UK, there's some regulations to cover some of this stuff. Right. But some of it we know is quite poor. And we know that just by having a radio on in the observatory, and you switch on a power supply and your radio signal's gone. So, you know, the quality in some of the stuff can be pretty rough, depending on where it's coming from and what's happening. But I think it's really down to a little bit down to the person, the astronomer themselves, to invest the time. And you know, as Jerry said in the past, you know, it's how much is your time. You have to invest time in this. You know, you can't just go and buy the equipment and set it up and within a month get a magazine cover image. It doesn't work like that. It really doesn't. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of reading, and you know, those nights where the clouds are coming through but the stars are still there, you can use them to work out all sorts of things, focusing, some of the tracking issues, or even some of the guiding in between on the cloud gaps. Done all sorts of things, but that way you're working on things so that when it is nice and clear, you're outside them, yeah, and you're enjoying that night sky.
Right. I like to refer to it as investing in yourself. You're not just buying equipment. You're not investing in equipment. You're investing in yourself for your skills and knowledge. That's really what it is. It's a learning platform. Yeah.
And I think it's quite hard for a lot of people who write books and that, because of the equipment's changing so fast and changing so quick, to keep up to date with this. This is the problem. So therefore it then comes back to the manufacturer a little bit more to start producing more in-depth literature or guidance really for the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that I spend, hours per week answering questions from customers and how does this work or will this work with such and such a product. Even I don't know all of the answers. With a lot of the new equipment, I have to have a quick read through something, and it can be quite hard to find that information sometimes, certainly on a new product.
Right. We have a bunch of comments here. They're coming in fast right now. Eduardo Simone comments. He says a big problem is that there are a lot of knockoffs. I think he's talking about telescope gear that's out there without any service and cheap prices. Eduardo, one of the things that you'll find out, it's true with anything. Okay, there are manufacturers that will try to get something to market. Companies that might be distributors or they're not really invested into this community. You can tell the difference in companies that really are invested into the community because they spend a lot of time with their customers like we do, so if you just see something and you're only motivated by a price, God bless you if you can get a great deal and you're very satisfied with it. But I think that you should study the equipment, study the problem. If you're trying to save money, buy it used. There's lots of great stuff on the secondhand market, so that's what I would recommend. Let's see. Wolfgang says, in new moon time and clear skies, all lights shall be off and no planes in the air. It'll be a great dark heaven to watch the stars. Yes, that's every astronomer's dream. Chuck Lewis wants to know, is this business still fun for us? Is this fun for you, Gary? Do you still love it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, setting up that telescope this evening, it's still the same thing. It comes out the box today. Because it's got a Losmandy plate on it, I had to sit there 10 minutes and make up a few adapters to fit it onto the Exos 2.
Right.
So you've still got it there, but it's that challenge of, bang, it was working. Within 20 minutes, it was collimated and it's up and running and the images are coming in. So my challenge is always with the equipment. I like getting the equipment up and running or integrating the equipment or working around that site. The images that come off the back of it are just a bonus, really. Yeah.
Right. How about you?
Yeah, for me,
you're just starting. Is
he's
this
just
fun,
starting.
or is it just mind-boggling and you go home every night crying?
A little bit of both right now. There's just so much coming in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great time. I love it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. There's one of the guys commented that he's actually jealous of your job. He says he wishes he was younger so he could start all over again, So how about you, Jerry?
Yeah, I enjoy the challenge. You know me, I take on big challenges and they're painful sometimes, of course, but I get the most satisfaction out of designing something and actually getting it to work like I wanted it to do.
Yeah.
That can sometimes be a really big challenge, because it's brand new to me. I like doing new stuff. That's the other side of it. I don't like to do the same thing over and over again. So that's the way my whole career was. I always tried to learn something the best I could, then pass it on to somebody else, and then so I could move on to something else.
Right.
And that's the way I approached my career.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've been in this. My first telescope's right there from 1970. I get more and more excited about astronomy because we're in a golden age of astronomy right now, and it's just when you didn't think that that it could get any better, it does get better. And the discoveries that are coming in from the professional world, from the amateur world, what amateurs are doing today. It's just amazing, the images. I mean, look at the Andromeda shot behind Gary. It's a 2-year-old shot, he's got, I'm sure he's got images that he thinks might be better, but that's pretty spectacular. We're going to talk about the virtual star party here in a minute. But the image that I sent out to all the people that are going to be participating in this was a Palomar 200-inch shot made back in 1953, something like that. And amateur shots today with, just a few inches of aperture, absolutely blow it away. Absolutely blow it away. And so that's what we're going to do is in this show, we are going to show what was done with the world's largest telescope back in the 1950s, okay, compared to what amateurs are going to do live on our program. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But let's get through some of these other comments and questions here. Let's see. You said, Jerry, there is a lot more I'm finding out to take a picture. I think he means Gary. So, yeah. What is the latest things you're finding out now in your astrophotography? What is piquing your interest? What are you working on these days?
All sorts of stuff, really. My mind is always racing. Yeah, okay. So my mind is always. I'm quite bad for not writing things down. Yeah, It's a little bit like having them in a dream. And did I actually think about that? Yeah, I did. So there's a few things. I think my main thing is always trying to get closer in on the sun, or looking for different artifacts on the sun, different objects on the sun, different things we can see. The deep sky stuff, I think, the cameras, really, they're just amazing these days. What's coming out. The biggest problem is processing them now. The image sizes that are coming in, is very quick to collect the data on one of these CMOS cameras, and you can have 60-second shot and collect 60 of them, but it's going to take you a little bit of time to process them now with some of the cameras that are coming in. It's going to feel like you've gone back 10 years.
Yeah.
So the computers and that need to be fairly good. I think at the moment you can really be quite happy with the equipment that's there. There's such a variety there that you can really sort of pick and choose, and even on quite a modest budget, and go out there and take some reasonable images. Yeah, you don't need to spend a lot of money at all.
No.
If you want.
Yeah,
but,
and if you take lessons from Gary Palmer, you'll get more than just reasonable images. You're going to get images that you're really proud of. So, so that's...
Well, a lot of people have, like, for example, a lot of people already have computers and they already have DSLRs. So all they need to do is add a mount and a telescope, and for $1,000, you could be taking great images for $1,000 added to that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You'll certainly take images better than they did with the 200-inch back in the 1950s. That's for sure. So, let's see. Eduardo Simone does point out what works for you doesn't work for someone else. That's true. There is a secret sauce that combines the astronomer with the gear, Let's see. And Eduardo says, absolutely, but do you master anything on the first day? No, but you start on a journey, so I think a lot of us, the jealousy that some of us feel about knowing that Heath is there so near the fire with all of us, I've mentioned it before too. I wish I could just get back on, just erase my mind, start back fresh, and just experience everything all over again. But with the stuff we have today, oh my God, it's just so much better.
Yeah, it took me 4 or 5 years, where people are picking it up in a year or so. What I used to do, it took me 4 or 5 years to get to the level where people are doing it in a year or two.
Yeah. Jason Burns has an interesting perspective, and it's absolutely true. He says cheaper and more precision made. That's what's happened to our industry. We've made stuff less expensive and more precision. He says, gosh, what a premium mount did 20 years ago, okay, I mean, an expensive mount, is actually expected in a fairly budget mount today. That's very true. That's very true. That's true in optics. That's true in electronics. Certainly way true. And I mean, cameras, as Gary pointed out, cameras that cost, I remember a camera that sold for almost $9,000. There's cameras today that are in the $600 range that blow that one away.
Cameras is kind of a special case because cameras are used everywhere. There's billions of cameras in the world.
Right.
And the amount of money that's spent by manufacturers to develop these chips now is just, we take advantage of that in the astronomy world, definitely. Security camera technology.
All right. James the astrophotographer says Explore Scientific is a different breed of brands. What other company has live discussions with their customers daily? I don't know. But thank you very much. We enjoy it. We love it, actually. Jenny Bedell Shelley says, when manufacturers provide diagrams and instructions on how to use their product, the customer benefits immensely and prevents frustration, especially with products like focal reducers. Okay. So I don't know, maybe we need to improve is Jenny telling us we need to do a better job with our vocal reducers?
Yeah, I think that's
we
a
will,
hint.
Jenny. We will.
That's a hint.
That's right. That's right. Thank you. Eduardo says, absolutely, but there are some out there who expect to slap the scope down and boom, there's Arcturus or whatever they want to see. That's true. That's the hole-in-one machine that I keep talking.
Scott calls that a hole-in-one machine.
That's a hole-in-one machine. You didn't learn anything. You just, boom, you got it. Okay, you're done. Go back and have another beer or something, So, let's see.
That's something about this hobby that I don't know if amateurs or people that get into it at the beginning don't understand. This really is a journey hobby. It's not a goal hobby.
That's right.
It's a journey to continuously improve your skills and knowledge and enjoy it while you're doing it. You could and enjoy the challenges also. That's what I would suggest to people. I know it's easy to get frustrated, and I get frustrated all the time, but it helps to step back sometimes and look at that and say, what am I trying to do here? What is the gain through this frustration? You really learn a lot.
Yep. Mr. Thump 30 said he sent a tech support question. I'm not going to say who the company was. He said 2 weeks ago and still haven't gotten any answer. That can happen to us too. It has happened to us before, and so it's always something that, companies constantly work on. And, we actually, because of transitions within our company and, due to, we're still kind of catching up because of the COVID bump that we all experienced, it's a situation where we've had to put in overtime, we've had to really concentrate, reorganize and everything, but even our company has experienced those kinds of things. So don't knock them too hard, I'm sure they'll get back to you, or, nothing hurts to, hey, remind them that I've got a question for you. So that's the deal, but we're not going to bust into the company's chops tonight because he who has cast the whatever the first stone, so whatever. Dave Conley says, I wish discovery was still within the reach of the amateur. How many comets are discovered by amateurs these days? It is more challenging, okay, but there's other discoveries to be made. Jerry and his team, that are doing the work with exoplanets. Okay, yes, it is harder to discover a comet, but you can still research asteroids and discover what their orbits are. Okay, there's a ton of them
Right.
there.
And
So
they're right. You can see what they look like, their shape. There's a lot of things still to discover about objects that we already know about that people just don't have the time to do.
that's right. So you don't have to lock your don't think you have to lock yourself into one kind of discovery. There are so many different aspects that amateurs can do follow-on research on, and I like to brag that one of the first amateur discoveries of an exoplanet was done with Explore Scientific gear. Okay, that's a fun thing to talk about and to say, but it really is the perseverance and creativity and hard work of amateur astronomers to get involved with this and to come up to speed, which they can absolutely do, come up to speed to the professional world, so the MSRO team can show you how to do that. I'm sure Gary Palmer can show you how to do that too. Eduardo Simone says, lots of new product I'm looking at. I research exhaustively, sometimes to a fault, so I know what to expect. Many don't. They put the money down and they just want it to work. That's kind of the promise of companies in our industry, is that if you do buy into one of our products, that it's going to work. But as Jerry said, it is a journey. So you can either have what I call the hole-in-one machine, and there are some out there where you just plop it down, turn it on. Mead's light switch worked like this. Okay, turn it on. It was the flip of a switch. It would go into line itself. It would ask you what you wanted to see. You go and select the object, and boom, there it is. Okay, but did you learn anything? Did you find out anything? You could, but you could also just blast through 100 objects in a night and say, okay, I did that astronomy thing. I'm going to go on to the next thing. So can we call you an astronomer if you did that? I don't know. That's up to people to fight about, I guess. James Buck says, I still like to use one of my 3 binoculars more than dragging all the one of my 3 telescopes and equipment for astrophotography or even visual observing. That in a sky chart wheel. So James is saying, he likes to get out there and just do some organic astronomy, get his planisphere out that Gary was waving out at us before. We all like to do that. We like to get into, maybe a recliner outside, bathe in the sunlight or the starlight of the Milky Way, and and make it simple. But I think that going on both ends of the spectrum is a lot of fun. Let's see, what else? Dusty Haskins, if you are feeling like you are losing the fun, you can always come and dig with me for a day, and you'll have a new appreciation for it, I promise. I'm sure we would. Chuck Lewis says, Jerry, it's all about learning. That's right. Bob says, this is the ultimate hobby for tech, computer nerds, and non-folk alike. It just depends on how technical you want to get. And I think I'm a tech computer nerd, so I'm in heaven.
Yeah, that's what we developed the PMC-Eight for, to share all that for these tech nerds that want to learn everything about how everything works. That's great. I love it.
Yeah. Nico says, I love to work in a telescope retailer just to try new stuff. Yeah. That's part of the benefit.
Why do you think I wanted to meet Scott 10 years ago?
Yeah.
I wanted to get buddies with Scott so I could use his equipment
That's
and
right.
get involved, right?
Yeah. Then I roped him into actually working for us. So.
Yeah.
Scott, I did not receive this mail. Wolfgang, if you want to be part of the virtual star party, we can do it. So I will send me your email address, okay? And I'll get you on the list for the virtual star party, which we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes here.
What's your email address, Scott, so we can send it?
It's s@explorescientific.com. I thought everybody knew it from
S.
Just
we'll
S.
call you S from now on.
That's right. Just call me S. That's my nickname. Let's see. Lots of comments. Geez. Let's see. You guys are talking amongst yourselves. That's good. And for some reason, I can't scroll down here. Oh, Eduardo Simone is saying that he had a 35 millimeter Nikon film camera, okay? That was $1,100 back in the late 90s. All right, geez. Film cameras. I love film cameras, though. Pragmatism is the key to the hobby. I'm still learning daily about astrophotography. I'll be learning more about this hobby until I die.
Yep, absolutely.
He says, yeah, I can always put you on the spot on the go-tos. Yeah, you can, sure. That's fun, though. Seems like a lot more camaraderie in this group. That's why I like to tune in. Hoping to have PMC-Eight system at some point, would have never considered it until my friend Mr. Weiss started coming over. Glad you guys do this. Thank you, Jason. David Ing says that two schoolgirls in India just discovered an asteroid. Oh, that's interesting. That's great. All right. Terry Holland wants to know, Gary, what brand of camera has the best sensor for low light astrophotography? I'm sure he's talking about 35 or DSLR type of cameras. What do you think?
What was that?
Okay. Terry Holland wants to know what brand of, and I think it's DSLR cameras, has the best sensor for low light astrophotography. What do you think it is?
They're all very, very close these days. I quite often say that I think the departments for each camera in a manufacturer, so if you take like Canon and you've got the development team for something like the 90D is actually competing with the development team for the 5D, say Mark IV or Mark V, and not competing with the competition of another brand, because they always seem to put on more extras on the next model that comes out, even if it's lower down. So one will have Wi-Fi on it and another one will have something else on it, and they're all from the same manufacturer. As for low light, really the 5D is one, and the 6Ds. I've seen some very, very good comet images recently out of the Canon 6D. But everybody's brand loyal. I don't necessarily use a lot of Nikon myself. I've mainly got Canon here. I've got a couple of Nikon cameras, but they're mainly Canon. So I'd be going, the cheaper is the 6D, I think Mark II, and the 5D Mark III or Mark IV, depending on your budget. Yeah, they're both very good cameras.
Sure. Tim Myers, he wants, okay. So one more question for you, Gary. What do you think about no darks for long exposure time with the DSLR? No darks.
No, no bias I could go with maybe, but the darks I would always go with.
Yeah.
and depending on what software, you can mix and match. PixInsight doesn't like that too much, but some of the other software, Deep Sky Stacker and so on.
When you talk about mix and match, you're talking about different exposure times for the
exposure times and ISO times.
Right.
PixInsight can get really picky with that, even with a change of ISO. So if we were imaging at 1600 ISO and we took our darks at 800 ISO, it could have a bit of a meltdown and start throwing up error messages all over the place. But the darks do remove, certainly on DSLRs, it removes a lot of the hot pixels, and it calibrates the image. Yeah, and it's the same with flats. Yeah, a lot of people don't pay much interest that the flats actually help with the color calibration on the images. Certainly on DSLRs, they really do help. But I think the problem is with the CMOS cameras coming out, there's the arguments you don't need to take biases, you don't need to do this, or you don't need to do that. And a lot of the information is getting quite confusing. Yeah, because everybody's coming up with a different idea, and I think it's really that maybe that idea just works for them in the way that they're processing the images.
Yeah, I would say that's very valid.
I generally take bias darks and flats for all of the images. The flats I might skip off if I've had to dismantle the equipment for some reason or whatever, but I still run biases through even with the CMOS cameras.
You do?
Yeah. Yeah. And the image behind me proves that it works.
Very well. Very well.
Well, I think an important thing is for beginners, they don't have to worry about calibration so much if they're just starting out, because I don't think people have to spend some time with the images before they have the knowledge and to look at the image and understand why they would want to calibrate it.
Yeah, I think the darks are the most important. Out of all of the calibration, the darks are the ones that are really the most important. And the easiest way around that is to just take them with the same exposure time and the same gain setting or ISO setting as what your actual image is. So, and just don't take too many of them. Yeah, I've seen people saying, "Oh, I'm taking 60-second shots, so I'll take 100 darks." You're going to be processing them until the cows come home. Your computer's just going to have a big meltdown, and it'll probably actually start to trip over the data. Yeah, I've seen this with some large format cameras where the computer starts to actually trip up, and you're not getting a good calibration because there's just too many there. With dark frames, I just run something around 20, 25 dark frames. That's it.
Goodness. Yeah. So, and one other question that's kind of coming up in the chats here. People want to know what you think is the best sensor, brand of sensor. Do you think it's a Sony chip, or what do you think?
I think Sony in general, just because there's more out there. Yeah. The Panasonic. It did have some issues. It's more commonly known as the 1600. Yeah, so it's you'll see it in the ASI 1600 or ZWO 1600, and other manufacturers, QHY and so on. And it did have a bit of a rocky start. It took the companies a long time to get reduce amp glow on it and different things. And there were also rumours that the Panasonic themselves only used 1 out of every 3, so it always made me question whether the other 2 came into the astronomy market with the amount of problems we were getting with them.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, what do we do with all this big pile of rejects here? Let's.
Yeah, so, but in a sense, there's no real plus or minus, because a lot of the companies have stopped manufacturing sensors now. This is the thing. Kodak, what remained of their sensor side, that was bought out, and that's really gone downhill quite a lot from what I've heard on quality and different things. So, it's really old stock. A lot of the stuff that's still being used in some of the cameras, certainly CCD cameras. And a lot of the manufacturers are moving over to CMOS, and you've got to remember that none of these sensors are made for astronomy. Unless you're going to pay, $100,000 for a sensor, it is not made for astronomy. These are all made for barcode reading, speed guns for, recording license plates and things like that. They all have other uses in other industries, and the astronomy market has sort of cornered some of them, has a look at them, sees whether they're suitable, and then manufactures a camera around it for astronomy. So they're in quite short demand, or not demand, quite short supply. So this is where you see quite a lot of new sensors coming out. Mm-hmm. So say even 5 years ago, we might have a sensor come out and we'd have that sensor on the market for maybe 2 or 3 years. Now we've got sensors coming out and you're seeing them start to disappear and new sensors coming on. It's just because that sensor's not manufactured anymore. There's quite a quick turnaround on the actual line of sensors. Mm. And depending on how big the company is who's making the cameras, how many sensors they can buy in one go. So they might only be able to buy in, say, 300 sensors, and that's their product run if they can't get hold of any more.
Right. I just shared with everybody. You
got some echo going on there,
do
Scott.
Yeah. I don't know why. Anyways, I just shared with everybody a link to the M13 shot. Okay, that was shot by Walter Baade with the 200-inch telescope at Palomar. So if you guys want to take a look at that, you might, Jerry, I sent that email over to you too. You might share your screen so you can show what this looks like. I don't know, Gary, if you have any M13 shots you want to compare this to.
I will have, but they're on the drive that I've just unplugged.
Okay, that's all right. That's okay. Yeah, but I want everybody just kind of have this M13 shot in their
I'll just have a quick look on one of the drives,
because I just wanted to touch a little bit on the virtual star party and then finish off the show with some of Gary's images, because we love looking at them so much. So. But the virtual star.
Did you send me an email?
I did. Yeah, I copied you on an email for the virtual star party, and I actually did attach the M13 shot to that.
I'm looking for it.
There's one that I've got on a drive, and I know no information about it, but it would have been a test shot for something.
Right.
So.
This is Gary's shot right now.
I would say, looking at it, it's about an hour's worth of data, something like that.
Right, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, I'm not finding it, Scott. I don't know
you're not finding it yet. Okay.
My email, I don't see anything.
I don't know how many of you guys can see the. I'll resend it.
Okay.
But it is this shot. That shot of M13 has a couple of galaxies in it. Maybe more than a couple of galaxies. Let's see, and let me send items, and
I don't know why I didn't get it. I don't know why I didn't get it.
Jerry, here it comes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's got the shot in it. There you are. So it's coming up.
Okay.
Let's have you share that shot again, Gary.
Yeah, hang on a second. I just closed it.
Well, gotta be quick.
Yeah. There's some others here in actual fact. This is a wider field one. This was actually a test shot when we were doing the work on the Explore cameras. So I just got to find. There we go. And this was off of the 7MP camera. It was a quick test shot, and that was about 15 minutes. I remember that because it was only about 6 weeks ago.
15 minutes of exposure.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have the exposure data from Walter Botta's image, but I'm sure it was longer than 15 minutes. So take a nice, good, long look at that. You're seeing, you know, maybe 500,000 stars, maybe upwards of 1 million stars in that ball. It's something like, I don't know, 25,000, 35,000 light years away, something in that order. Just incredible. There are some of the stars actually hit each other and they create new stars. And so there are something called, I think they call them blue stragglers or something like that, that are being studied. And there's lots of ideas about globular clusters.
I've got it now, Scott.
No, that's not. That's oh, okay. You got it. Okay, this is.
Yeah. So let me
That's one
share
of
my desktop.
Gary's still sharing his M13 shots here. All right, let's show you what it was like only, what, 70 years ago.
70 years ago, right?
70 years ago on film.
On film.
You know, it's just totally burned out in the center. Nice little tight stars, of course, but this is shot with a 200-inch telescope. But zoom out a little bit. Let's see if we can see the background galaxies or anything in this image. And I don't think you can. There was not enough range.
There's something down the bottom.
You see something at the bottom of the shot?
It was there. There's something there.
Man.
Yeah, just up a little bit with the mouse from there.
I'm sorry, I had to turn my mute off.
Yeah, it's over on the right-hand side. There's something fuzzy.
On the right-hand side over here?
Yeah,
look
just
that, also at the edges
just
of the,
a little bit further.
You can see stars
just
are
there.
stretched a little bit. Astrophotographers today, amateur astrophotographers today, would be calling Explore Scientific complaining if they had an image. Oh, I do see like a little...
Like that?
Yeah, it might have been the pixelation, but it's in that area there. There's something that was showing.
Maybe. Yeah. Now, also, too, this is a scan of this image, so you know, it's not directly from the plate.
But you can see the distortion in the corner.
Oh yeah, right. They had no correctors, you know, to speak of. Of course, they're doing research. They're doing science with this instrument.
Right.
They don't really care that there are stretched stars at the corners. But
see how overexposed it is in the center there.
oh yeah, right.
There's a feature called the propeller. I don't even see it on here. Do you know what I'm talking about, Gary?
Yeah.
Let's go back to one of Gary's shots so we can look at it again.
Yeah, let me stop sharing.
Yeah, let me just bring it back up again.
Yeah.
You can just faintly see it in this one. I'll see if it's in... Yeah, let me just share the screen again.
Okay.
You can just see the outline of it in here. Yeah, it's not the clearest of shots. What I was looking for in the background were these galaxies here of the Panama image.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see those in that 200-inch shot.
No.
And the other thing, this is a color image too. It's not a black and white.
What size scope are you using for that, Gary? Do you remember?
I can't, to be honest.
The 200-inch.
Where were we? Yeah, what have we got? Just seeing there's thousands of images on these computers here, so yeah, it depends on what we're working on at the time, but there's just literally hard drives full of different images. So M13.
I've got a M13 that I took 10 years ago or 9 years ago that I shared with Scott early on. He put it in one of his catalogs, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I can find it.
It's not an overly easy target, M13. It's not. Yeah, see that one there. You can see the lines down the edge. The image is just on. So a lot of these are just test things that we were working on at the time. And some of them are not even processed, like this. If it's not got an image in the folder, we've still not got around to processing it or working on it. But that on this actual hard drive, that's probably about one of the better ones. Yeah, something there. So as for other images, something about distant things. I was imaging the comet, and I know I haven't got it on here right this minute, but while we were talking about background objects, I picked up 3 galaxies in a 60-second shot of the comet, and I looked up the galaxies because they were so tiny you could just make them out on the edge of the tail, and they're 500 million light years away, and we're imaging them in 30 seconds or 60 seconds on the shot. So let's just drop this down a bit. This was the moon from last night.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So
yeah, you just shared that on Facebook yesterday, as I recall.
Yeah, that's it. That was the one. So that was on the Exos 2 with the Explorer Scientific's 7MP camera. So that came out quite nice. I was quite pleased with that.
What do you think of that, Heath? You like it?
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's actually in the daytime that, so it wasn't dark yet. So this is a daytime shot, which is quite hard then to control any colour. So I was quite happy with that. Quite pleased with it.
Sharp, very sharp.
There. One of the comet images from last week. So I think I sent one to you, Scott, and then this is another one since. Not having too much luck on the comet at the moment, really just on weather. It's not been clear.
Yeah.
So we're not getting enough time to get out, but certainly picked up the separation in the tail. And these were ones that I was... Now, these were the galaxies there.
Wow.
So there's
That's amazing.
3 galaxies that you could
really
just
cool.
pick up here. There are actually 2 others, but the tail's just blocking them out because I was looking at this area there. But yeah, these are unfinished. These sort of images, they're just... so yeah, I marked them up. Yeah, the 3 galaxies. So apart from that, there's not really been a lot of imaging over the last fortnight. It's been pretty quiet in the UK. Just a few odd comet shots. Haven't been able to do anything really.
Well, you mentioned how quickly you have to put that up, and you know, when you have the breaks in the clouds, and you know, so
it's going to be clear tonight from about 1 a.m. So probably have a wander up a bit further up into the mountains and have a go for the comet again, I think.
Right.
And that will be that. All of the other targets we seem to be missing this month. Nearly all gone. Yeah, they're June wasn't the best of months, and this month's not really going much better, to be honest. So, yeah. Oh, we did have some nice solar today. That was the other thing.
Got an image?
Yeah. Well, I've got better than that. I've got the videos. So, these have all got to be processed yet. So, if I do that and drop that down, there we go.
Wow.
That was one of the prominences today. And we've got the older sunspot, which is just rotating off now. That one will be gone over the next 2 or 3 days. But we've got a new one started up, which we got in. We go there. That's it. So this area here.
Oh, beautiful.
So you can just see the sunspot in there. None of these are processed; they're just literally stacked. And these are in magnesium, so something a bit more unusual. That again is in magnesium, so you can pick up the active area there. And it's quite a nice light bridge on that, even though it's quite a small sunspot. It's very similar to a pore at the moment, but it's quite a nice light bridge on it. So it'd be interesting to see. And there's another one there where you zoom in and just see. Yeah, there's a couple of bits going on there, so that might well develop more over the next 2 or 3 days.
Sure.
Certainly worth keeping an eye on. The prominence is today is still shots.
I have a question here from David Ing. He wants to know if there's going to be another show tomorrow. I can't tell you yet. It will depend on how long the meeting goes in our company tomorrow. I have a feeling, though, that we're still going to have a show. So,
yeah, I think if possible, we'll try to have it.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, is there anything? We're going to wrap up the show here. We've been on for a little while. We've been on for over an hour and a half. It's been a great show. It's been a real exciting day. We want to thank everybody that watches our show. And
Who was our winner? Who was our winner again?
It was Jeff.
That's Stumped to Scott. That's what Stumped the
Jeff
S.
Wise.
With Jeff Wise, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Congratulations, Jeff.
Yeah, that's right. And we hope that you guys are getting a little something out of our programming here, and we really get a lot out of having you guys participate with us. And so we'll have many more shows to come. And Gary, I really appreciate you being on the show. You are very giving of your time. I know that you have another life other than hanging out with us.
It's always enjoyable. Thanks for asking.
It's fun. We really love having you. And Heath, thank you. I know that you got a lot of other customer service things to do, but I think it's important for you to see what the community's like and to experience some of this stuff. So
yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, and we'll have you back on again. So until tomorrow, I think we will be back. So we're we'll see you until next
share, like, and subscribe. Share, like, and subscribe.
Share, like, and subscribe. That's right.
That's the standard phrase for YouTubers, right?
That's
you
right.
see it every time.
That's right. All right, guys. Thank you very much, and take care, and keep looking up, of course.